Blinking on your screen too, Wendy? Okay. Okay, we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wendy, you want to take the roll call?
Mike Costa.
Here.
Michelle Blythe.
Here.
Ann Schweddy.
Here.
Marilyn Bertley.
Here.
Jessica Stickles.
Here.
Deborah Nelson.
Here.
Don Manny.
Here.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Questions?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have a proclamation this evening for Arbor Day, Marilyn.
Okay. The City of Arlington proclamation for Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture, that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperatures, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas the trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property value, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Whereas Arlington has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue its tree planting practices. Now, therefore, I, Barbara Tolbert, Mayor of the City of Arlington of Washington, do hereby proclaim April 10th, 2021 as Arbor Day in the City of Arlington and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and to promote the well-being of this and future generations. Signed by Mayor Barbara Tolbert.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have any members of the public that wish to speak to the council this evening.
Madam Mayor, I would like to move to approve the consent agenda consisting of the minutes of the March 15th and the March 22nd, 2021 council meetings, including the accounts payable approval of EFT payments and claims checks number 102399 through 102512 dated March 16th, 2021 through April 5th, 2021 for the amount of $1,202,460.40, as well as a budget amendment request for network assessment from Right Systems, Inc., and the sole source resolution for the procurement and servicing of claw pressure reducing valves, as well as the resolution to support the WRIA 7 watershed restoration and enhancement plan.
Second. Question?
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so the first item on our agenda this evening is the public hearing for the resolution to adopt the Housing Action Plan. Mark Hayes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. So there's First thing I want to address is this. I know that everyone had received a letter from Master Builders Association on Friday. At least I'm pretty sure that everyone has received this and read it. So a couple of things I want to address with this is, number one, with the concerns that the Master Builders Association had with Action 1.1, I find it very interesting that they would have concerns with that, simply because this leads to affordable home ownership. And so that was designed in order to get people out of a rental situation and into home ownership where they can actually realize some personal wealth from equity in properties that they own, as opposed to being caught up in a rental trap for their life. So that's what 1.1 is trying to do in the East Hill area. Action 3.2 is about inclusionary zoning. And so you have to remember that all of these items are tools in the toolbox. And so inclusionary zoning may have opportunity here in Arlington as projects come along. And so we just want to ensure that if an opportunity arises, that we have the tools in order to be able to put that in motion. So that is that's the intent behind Action 3.2. But I would definitely like to field any questions or concerns that the council may have on these issues.
Since we have no members of the public that wish to speak, just the letter from Master Builders that Mark has addressed, we'll close the public hearing and open it up to the council. Mike.
I do agree with Mark on this, but I also want to say that I appreciated the Master Builders encouragement for the incentives to create affordable housing or to create housing of all price points. And they did state that specifically, and I did appreciate that from that organization.
Jan.
I had a question of Mark, and you may not be able to answer this yet, but I know that there are several bills in the legislature right now on both the GMA and affordable housing. So I guess my question is, when we pass this, if there are some of those bills that's going to impact this housing plan, do we just go back and adjust it?
Yeah, so the Housing Action Plan is a living document. And so we put the tools that we saw that were available and that we thought would be helpful in trying to address our housing issues within the city of Arlington. If something new comes along or something is generated from a House bill and we have the ability to take advantage of that, we will definitely look at that, evaluate it, and implement it if possible.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? It's great to see a housing action plan for the city of Arlington. I want to thank the staff and the consultants that did all the work to ensure that we're looking at all the housing types and building housing types for all incomes in the city of Arlington.
I move to adopt the Housing Action Plan and related resolution and authorize the mayor to sign the resolution.
Second.
Question?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Mark, you now have a housing action plan that passed unanimously.
Great. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, members of the council. It's much appreciated.
So our next item in new business is the resolution authorizing the applications for federal grant funding. Paul.
Thank you, Mayor. We've been busy with grant applications the last few weeks. Attached here, if you had a chance to look at it, is some resolutions related to some projects here in the city. We were notified by Congressman Larson's office that of the community project grant that was available through his office, and encouraged to apply for whichever projects met their criteria that was listed on there. We identified 10 projects that we felt closely matched the criteria that they were looking for, of which we applied for. First one is SR 531 Phase 2. That's from 67th to Highway 9. Fiber connectivity Phase 1. Brian Terry, our IT director, has been in and talked a little bit about that, getting connectivity around the city. So that would be Phase 1 of that. 169th connection, we've talked about that quite a bit. Some highway projects, SR 9, SR 530, Division and Burke. Those are all intersections on SR 530 heading through town and east of town, towards the east end of town. Those projects are on the state's list, so we also included them on our list. SR 530 and 211th, SR 530 and 59th. Both of those are roundabouts. They're also on the state's projects for the safety projects for that corridor. We did put in for SR 530 and Smoky Point Boulevard roundabout. Also the widening of 51st from 172nd to 160th. So from 172nd south to 160th to widen that section of the road. Howler Park Phase 3, which would finish the parking lot and add a stage. Those are the two elements left at that park that haven't been completed. And also a sewer extension through Airway Estates, which is a mobile home park off of 180th near the airport. Those are the 10 projects that we prepared to submit. It requires a resolution of support for each one of those projects from council. So that's the ask tonight. This came up very suddenly. We didn't learn about it till last week. So there was no time to get this to the workshop before this business meeting. And the applications are due Friday. So of course we can't wait till the next cycle. So that's why you're seeing it tonight without it coming to the workshop last week or 2 weeks ago, excuse me. Happy to answer any questions.
I just want to say thank you for getting it together so quickly, and hopefully, we'll bear some fruit from it. But good work. I read through each one, and I remember some of those requests from 10 years ago. So it's nice to see them come forward again.
Yeah,
Thank
some
you.
of them have been on our plate for a long time.
Yeah, good job.
We have to try, right?
Mm-hmm.
Marilyn, did you have your hand up too?
Well, I did, and Deborah pretty much said what I had on my mind too. I think this is great, and you came together really quickly with it, and I'm sure you went over any possible projects, and these all sound like great ones. So I say thank you. And I hope it all works out.
We even considered a couple that just didn't qualify based on the criteria. So.
Mm. Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Mm-mm.
So how much was the total request with all 10 of the projects?
I'm sorry, I could get that for you. I didn't have it with me tonight. I'll send it to council the first thing in the morning.
I could also just add it up. I just wondered if you had it.
I didn't. Jim knows exactly how much it is, right to the penny.
Okay, well, I would like to move to approve resolution numbers 2021-009 through 2021-018 in support of transportation and park projects to be submitted for federal community project funding, and authorize the mayor to sign the resolutions and authorize staff to submit all documents required to make application.
Second question.
In favor?
Aye. Aye.
You opposed? Good, thank you. Looks like we have our project list to submit. So the next item on our agenda is the resolution adopting elected officials to the Regional Fire Authority Transition Board.
Thank you, Mayor. This is something that we did talk about at our workshop a couple of weeks ago. Part of the governance model for the annexation into North County Regional Fire Authority is for the city to provide 3 appointed commissioners from our elected board to serve on the North County Regional Fire Authority board until December 31st, 2023, when those positions would be converted to elected district and at-large positions from within the city and the fire district. The three members that were selected is Mayor Barb Tolbert, Councilmember Deborah Nelson, and Councilmember Marilyn Early. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, lots of discussion last workshop. So Marilyn, were you gonna?
I mean, I know I about the discussion last time, there was a lot of it about, terms ending and whatever. And I kind of went over everything, and, we have Dawn and Deborah and Jessica up for election. So it's kind of like you didn't know who was going to be in office to continue with the term to 2023. Well, no matter who it is, if we picked any one of these people to be on there, they still have to run for election. So I say we just kind of make our decision and see how the elections turn out. And hopefully they will be as we choose here. But if they aren't, you just adjust. That's the way it works with any kind of thing like this. You can't just hold off in case, just can't. So you got to make your decision and then adjust from there, is my opinion.
Marilyn. Michelle?
And my question, in case it didn't sound like a question last week, was how do we have someone serve until 2023 when they're in their term until 2021? It wasn't the representative. It was just like, how can we have that date there? So do we put 2023 there and leave it and see what happens, or do we put 2021 there? So that was supposed to be a question last week. And like, how do we put that date there when someone isn't designated to serve until 2023? So Marilyn, you want to?
It's kind of a tough one, because it's like when you're elected to an office, and take Josh Roundy, for example. Mm-hmm. His term ran till whenever it was, but he chose to step down. But any positions he was appointed to or whatever may have stated that it went to a certain point in time, but because he stepped down, then you have to appoint somebody else. And this is an election. We don't know what's going to happen in an election. So the position itself goes until 2023, December 31st of 2023. So that's what this appointed position is. So you can appoint anybody to that position. And if they aren't with us anymore, you just appoint somebody else. But the need to have somebody serve in that position is until 2023, December of 2023. That's what we need until it goes out to the public to vote. So to me, it's like, who do we want in that position? It doesn't matter what their election status is or when they're going to be up for election. That's the position. And it's kind of not fair to people that are up for election, because we don't know what's going to happen. If they're the best qualified person for the job, then I think they should have it. And so I don't know. It's a tough one. You could look at it a number of different ways, but I know I served on this from the beginning, and Deborah has been involved previous to this, but and Jessica would be perfect, but she has chosen not to run again. So it's like, who do we get with any kind of experience? But then you could say, well, whoever ends up doing it is going to have to learn from the beginning anyway. So it's a tough one. So I guess, I don't know. I truly don't know what the best way to go is, but that's my opinion.
Right. And I appreciate, Can I respond? Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Jan. I appreciate your opinion and the manner in which you explained it. So thank you. And again, I'm not hung up on experience or who should have it. I was just hung up on how can we put that date there, right? When we know that date. So that's it for me. So I'm not opposed to Deborah. I was just questioning how do we put that date. So that's it. So thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you.
Marilyn. I think we have to appoint to the term that it is as defined by the RFA. We don't get to change the dates of their term. Jan?
Yeah, I completely agree with Marilyn, and I think she said it extremely well. I guess when I looked at it, my first thought was that's 3 people with knowledge over an extended period of time, because we've been talking about this for an extended period of time. And even if we end up having to appoint someone else in 2022, we will at least have this first year. And to me, that's really important.
Yeah.
And especially before they elect people, but that will give us a baseline. And so I'm absolutely fine with the 3.
Okay, I see Steve turned his camera on, so I'm always like, did you have something?
Wheels turning.
Careful.
Well, I'm happy to insert information if that's of interest. I would agree. I think the council is appointing persons to positions. Those positions have stated terms under the RFA plan. And those stated terms all extend to the 2023 date. I wanted to maybe correct a sentiment or a statement that was made. Under state law, there is a provision for filling vacancies. So if someone was appointed who had to step down for any reason or failed to be elected or whatever, in other words, became ineligible for the position, the state law would define how that vacancy would be filled. And I believe, I haven't researched this in great detail, but I believe the remaining members of the commission would fill the position. And I believe that likely they would fill it with another elected member from Arlington for the remaining term, but that's obviously something that they would have to wrestle with and decide. But otherwise, I agree with the sentiment that what you're really doing is you're filling these 3 positions, and if the persons that you nominate to fill those positions remain eligible during the entire term, they would serve the entire term. Hope that answers your questions.
Yes, Steve.
Marilyn?
Marilyn again?
Well, Steve, I was thinking that it was to be a council person that was to be appointed. Maybe I didn't understand exactly what you said, but even if just say Deborah was not reelected, and I'm not picking on you, Deborah, but you are the one. So, but say she wasn't. And then I think that the city council was supposed to replace her position till December 31st of 2023, not the RFA committee.
Well, I honestly,
I'm not sure either, but.
Well, from my review of the RFA plan, the RFA plan specifically says that the city council fills the initial appointments to the RFA transitional board. And that's what this motion before you tonight is. The plan was not specific enough to say if there is a vacancy between the time of the initial nomination by the city of Arlington to the RFA transitional board, who fills that vacancy. And so my assumption is that the RFA board would look again to Arlington to say, who would you like us to nominate to fill that position? Whether they would be legally required to do that, I can't say for sure at this point, but I am certain that they would in the spirit of cooperation that we've seen from North County from the onset, they would look to Arlington and say, who would you like to fill this position that has become vacant?
That sounds well and good, but you know, you always have to think of like, you know, you're getting a divorce or, you know, it's the worst case scenario. What happens if people get annoyed with each other? So far it's been perfect, but I don't know about that. I kind of want to know the answer to that for sure.
They
Do
could
we
make
have
that
to
a-
vote on this tonight?
Marilyn, I'm sure you can make that a topic of discussion once the commission is seated and begins to establish their own procedures.
Well, what if we go ahead and vote for Deborah to do that, and then it turns out that if she's not reelected, that the RFA can pick whoever they darn well please. How's that work?
We could look at the annexation they did with Stanwood as a representation.
I think they are gonna go with
Let me just finish. When Diane White's term was up, they reappointed from within the council, so.
I know history shows that, and it's just sometimes it's just a little loose end for me. I think that everything that we've ever done with them has been fine, perfect. I have no problems, but I just I don't know about this. Just leaves it open.
Did we get an answer and come back? Or is Steve looking for that answer?
Is Steve looking it up?
Well, I'm looking to see if I can give you an answer in the next 5 minutes.
I have a question while Steve's looking that up, Mayor.
What I can tell you this much. The RFA plan, which is sort of the guiding document for all of this, it only addresses vacancies that might occur in at-large positions. And the 3 positions that we're discussing filling are not at-large positions. They are essentially positions that are districted. The plan is silent on filling any vacancies. And so if I were to give you my legal analysis, I would say that it would be a nonpartisan vacancy that would be filled under 42 RCW 42.12.070. That says that there's a vacancy of a special purpose district, which the RFA would be. If there's one position that's vacant, unless there's some contrary provision of law, the remaining members of the governing body appoint a qualified person to fill the vacant position.
Okay.
Can we add any additional wording to the motion
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, that just kind of gives coverage with the
Well, to what Steve just stated, can we add that to the motion, that ordinance number, whatever it was, that we would follow that rule, that it would be this body that would appoint?
Well, the issue, quite honestly, the issue is that you're dealing with an interlocal agreement between 2 elected agencies. And so I don't know that you can dictate the terms by motion. I think it would be something that the RFA would have some input into.
Well,
So-
Steve, it would be an appropriate topic for the RFA committee once it was seated to address that there.
Yes, I think that's true, because then you'd have officials, elected officials from all of the necessary parties to be able to have that discussion and conversation. Well, one thing I might suggest that would potentially help this along would be if the motion were amended slightly, is you could simply delete the last line of the recommended motion and just terminate the motion by saying, I appoint the three elected officials to serve on the NCRFA transitional board, period. And although that doesn't specify that it's the length of service is until 12/31/2023, it eliminates, I suppose, the question about whether or not continuing eligibility would be some requirement. I think it's going to be a legal requirement anyway, but if you want to delete those words from the motion, I don't think that has any impact on the end result.
Thank you.
Marilyn?
Well, I was just thinking, I don't have any worries that the RFA committee and them would have any problem with appointing another person from the council. But this could be applied to even myself or the mayor. If something came up and we had to step down for personal reasons, I mean, it would be the same situation as if you weren't reelected. So any of us could be stepping down or not elected, and you'd have to replace with someone else. So it's just kind of it could happen to any of us until that point in time. And even after the commissioners, that's a whole nother issue. But between now and December 31st of 2023, anything could happen.
I think you'll want to remember that there will still be at least 2 other people representing our council there to help speak on that behalf as well.
That's true. But one of us could, not Deborah, but Barb and I would, something could happen where we had to step down and we had to be replaced, not both of us at the same time. And hopefully that never happens, but it is possible that we would be replaced. Any of us could be replaced. Things happen. So.
Okay, so I see Deborah with her hand up and then Michelle.
I would just say that I would ask if this vote goes through tonight, I would ask that the RFA commission for what month are we? Are we April? That our April meeting, that this would be a subject that we would discuss and decide as a commission, so that we would have it then written into the rules for the commission, that as long as this position exists through December 31st of 2023, that one of the 3 of us, would always represent the city of Arlington. So that would just be, so I guess, so my fellow council people know that would be my intent. So you would have that clarity and that confirmation. So.
Agree with that. Michelle, did you have something?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, Deborah, just make sure we don't lose that spot, right? For that, just in case. So that's all I'm saying is all this is just in case. And I have a question. When does this position effective?
August 1st.
August
It
1st.
is August. Okay, that's what I thought. Oh, huh. Okay.
Steve, thank you for the clarifications. They were helpful.
Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and move forward with the motion as presented. I move to appoint Mayor Barbara Tolbert to position number 7, City Council Member Deborah Nelson to position number 8, and City Council Member Marilyn Ertley to position number 9, to serve on the NCRFA Transitional Board until December 31st, 2023.
Second.
Question?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
No.
Record that, Wendy. All right. Passes. So our final item this evening is the Parks, Arts, and Recreation Commission appointment.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I'm standing in for Sarah on this. This would be the reappointment of Jennifer Harrington to the Parks, Arts, and Recreation Committee. Her term would start this month, and she would serve until April 1st, 2025. She was interviewed, and the interview committee recommended her reappointment.
Thank you, Paul. Any questions or comments on the reappointment of Jenny?
Well, I'm on the committee that, we interviewed her, and I've worked with her for the last year on the Parks, Arts, and Recreation Commission, and she's a very energetic, involved, engaged, goes out, physically looks at things, and, has a lot of input. She's just a great gal. So I think she will be an asset to the Parks Commission.
Continue to be an asset. She's already been an asset.
Yes, I mean, she's just wonderful, So, any other comments? Yeah, I move to consent to the reappointment of Jennifer Harrington to the Park, Arts, and Recreation Commission.
Second.
Question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, welcome, Jenny. You've been reappointed.
Congratulations.
Do we have any comments from council members this evening? Or reports, Jan?
Yeah, I just have some informational things. I'm on the Transportation Policy Board at Puget Sound Regional Council. And Thursday, we are going to be proving funding for a contingency list of transportation projects. And on that list, there is a project from Arlington, which is the roundabout at Smoky Point and 188th. I will send out something on Thursday afternoon to let you know, but I'm pretty sure that will pass. And then I think Barb has other news that I will let her tell you that has to do with transportation. Anyway, thank you.
Thanks, Jan. What Jan's referring to is the Senate detailed list for the Senate's transportation package came out today. And the 530 roundabout for 4.9 million was on that list. So it's on both the Senate and the House list. So if they do pass a transportation funding mechanism, we can look forward to that work starting next year. And kudos to Jim and his staff and the Still-Guamish Tribe of Indians in Snohomish County for having the design work so far along. Yes, and we also, I guess, keep it on the legislative side. We also have been recommended for the full funding for our capital project request to complete the Innovation Center for $372,000. And our request for the mobile integrated health to add mental health social workers to our team here at the City of Arlington was also in the Senate appropriations budget for a 2-year pilot project. So it's all very good news. Any other comments from council members or reports this evening?
Madam Mayor, I move to adjourn.
Just before we do, can I just make sure the administrator doesn't have a report?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Just one reminder, and then I'll let you go. Just a reminder, the retreat is Saturday for council here in the council chambers. So we'll meet in person 8 o'clock. Bring your masks, and we should get the presentation out to you tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest. I'm just finishing it up now. Apologize that it's so late. I do try to get that out early enough so you have some more time to look at it, but just with workloads and those grant applications coming up, really just threw a wrench in us getting it out in a timely manner. So we're working on finishing it now so we can get it to you.
All right, thank you. Jessica, I think you're on mute.
But now,
There you go.
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
Question?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Right.
Bye.
Right.